Hey, it's Talomic with DNB Academy here, and today I want to look at building up an atmospheric drum and bass break using a variety of different elements. We'll go through some kind of processing and audio editing tools to get some more interesting sounds. So, to start with, I've got a bunch of samples here that I've pre-selected. We've got a few from the Drum and Bass Academy Foundations kit. So we've got this kick. We've also got this little top loop and this bell here. A few from the guest sample pack, that kind of like rim shot snare. We've got this one as well. This is labeled as a snare because it's quite tonal. We'll probably use it as like a more percussive element. And then this shaker here, and then this one from the Bristol Tech pack, again another like rim shot, and this Counter-Strike break. I'll bring it down a bit. Cool. So we'll go through in terms of processing. I'll do a little bit of processing, but processing is contextual, and I think that's really important for people to understand, is that when you're processing any element in the tune, you need to be aware of the context in which it's sitting. At this point, we've got no context because it's just a break. So I'll process the stuff so it balances well together and creates a nice vibe. But whenever you're working on tunes, you'll always want to come back to kind of tweak stuff. So there might be things that I would do differently by the end of a tune that we won't have done at this stage. But yeah, let's get a kick pattern going first. So I'm just going to get my rhythm going, and we'll just create a 4-bar loop. What I might do with this second kick, just to create a little bit more phrasing is potentially the wrong word, but just a bit more variation, is just to lower the volume of that second kick slightly. Means the first beat of the bar is your strongest hit, and then we'll use that as our main snare. I'll trim it, and we'll just do a standard. We'll mute these elements for now. We'll bring that down and we'll add a little bit of EQ to that kick. Just tone out the mid slightly, and I'll bring down that top end. The mids I tend to do just to kind of clean a kick up a bit and focus it slightly. Basically, instead of raising the low end and the top end of a kick or any sample, if I dip the mids, that instead brings the focus to those two areas without having to boost them. Cool. And then we'll just throw an EQ on this and just check it. Yeah, we'll just get rid of that little bump down there because that's noise that we don't need. Cool. And now this is where we'll start kind of getting a bit more interesting. So we'll look at these one shots first, and we'll turn this into a tighter one shot as well. What I might do, let's try pitching that up. And if I select warp and then select the beats mode, we can tighten it up. So I'll go through this a bit clearer with some of the longer samples. But we can, if we switch to this mode here, the one shot mode, I can then tighten up the decay of the sample, because we can add our own reverb and stuff later. So maybe, and this is sort of going to be trial and error as well. And then this one here, bring that in, and again, let's try doing the same again. Cool. And a little bit of reverb. I've just got a reverb on this send here. and we'll just EQ this one. Nice. Cool. And then we've got this shuffle here, which again, I'll switch to beats mode to tighten up. And we can then use that potentially here. Or even nice. And actually I want to bring this break in now, just so I can go over the beat stuff, and it'll add a nice like constant rhythm over the top. So if I load up beats mode, load up the one shot, and then solo this break, you'll hear it gets much tighter as I bring that decay down. And we can either preserve transients, which are these markers here, or I can set it to my own set pattern here. And we'll just high pass. And we'll obviously want to change the rhythm, because the rhythm of the break doesn't quite match what we've got. So just sort of slice it up a bit. And we can do the same again here. So this is what it sounds like originally. But if I switch to beats mode, there we go. And then we've got this element here, which is B. We can shorten it. If I select transients, it will obviously, you can hear it stutter, but if I highlight and then delete those extra ones, we can kind of focus it. If I wanted to create markers as well, we can just double click and it will create this for us, which you can use to kind of create some cool glitch stuff, but we won't need to do that for this. So and high pass. And then what I'm going to do is group my top elements together, which are all of these. It says actually highlight all of them and group them. There we go. Tops, snare, kick. Group those together. If I spell drums properly. And now we've got all of this. So first of all, what I want to do is sidechain so that there's no clashing with the kick on these breaks. So the way I sidechain is just with automation on a utility, but you could do it however you want it. I think the main thing is that you don't want that clashing with any of the top elements and the more focal transient elements like your kick and your snare. What we can also do is throw something like a transient shaper on this top layer. And another EQ just to make sure there's no lows bleeding through. And roll off some of those really harsh tops as well. You could use something like Soothe, but I wouldn't do that just yet, because I don't think it's particularly abrasive. Cool, so I'm just going to throw a glue compressor on here just to give some light bus compression. And turn the soft clip on and just drive the drums into the soft clipper. So what I'm trying to do now is, because we've got lots of kind of spiky transient elements, just to make sure that none of those are peaking too hard. My general philosophy when it comes to getting tunes loud for mastering, because I get asked this quite a lot, is just to make sure that nothing's peaking too hard. So if I've got some good compression across the board, across my elements, and the arrangement is done in a way where there's no huge variations between loud and quiet, then it's much easier at the other end to get a decent, consistent, loud master. So you can see this lighting up where it's clipping. And now I'm just going to go in and we've got our kick, snare and tops. And I can just balance those quite easily, just being aware that any balancing and leveling I do here will impact the compressor, so I'll just keep that up. And then on B, I've just got a very short drum reverb. And I'll just show you that reverb quickly. We've got no pre-delay, and a very short decay. And if I solo it, you'll hear it kind of just sounds like a very small drum room. And what I find is it gives a bit of life to your drum sound without basically masking it with a load of like big long reverb tails, especially with these tighter sounds. You don't want it to get too messy. Cool, so there you go. Nice drum pattern to kind of lay the foundation for a nice atmospheric tune then. Any questions? Let us know in the comments below. I'll see you in the next one.